Well then, if that's it for the video games,
Yep.
let's move over to the television section.
Yes.
And we start over with the sports corner.
Yep. And it's that time for the biggest sports corner of the year because we have to talk about the big game.
Yes, the superb owl himself came down and whipped Mahomes' butt.
Yeah, did you see this coming? Because I feel like everyone was roundly surprised with how dominant the Eagles were in this game.
I think what was most surprising was that the Chiefs never got started.
Yeah.
They had just over 100 yards going into the third quarter in like very low, well, it was low scoring game, but eventually came a blowout
Yeah.
by the Eagles because, you know, okay, to be fair, Mahomes did throw a touchdown pass in the first half.
Yeah.
It was just happens to be to the rookie on the Eagles.
Yeah, the pick six was when that happened. I was like, "Oh, this is what this game's gonna be." Okay, and then I
Yep.
had to kind of tweak my head. Yeah, of course, the theory that has been the case for several Super Bowls now is like, "Oh, well, just wait until the second half, then Mahomes will go off." And you're right, it just didn't happen in the way that it's happened in the past. He just didn't. He didn't get that like turbo boost that we expect out of him.
Yep. And this does prove the theory that Patrick Mahomes cannot win a game when Tom Brady is in the building.
I guess so. He's Spectre haunted
Yep. He's
the
just sitting
game.
there being big old daddy, watching his kid out there messing it all up. Like, you can
Yeah.
never be like me.
Yeah, and Travis Kelsey also. It wasn't just Mahomes, just like I feel like
Linked. Yeah.
just nothing going on with that offensive line. It was just like a weird game.
I know. It's as if like the Eagles had 2 weeks to study and prepare to
Yeah,
face the Chiefs and knew exactly what they
yeah.
were going to do the entire time.
And also had faced them already in the Super Bowl and knew exactly what they did wrong the last time. So
Exactly.
yeah, there's a lot of factors. But yeah, it
I
was
will say this
entertaining
though,
at
the
least.
Chiefs did one thing correctly, which was
Mhm.
stop Saquon Barkley.
Yes, that is true.
Unfortunately, the Eagles also had Jalen Hurts and a bunch of like really, really good receivers to throw the ball around.
Yes. Yes.
So yes, Jalen Hurts was your MVP. Congratulations. I believe the Eagles parade is tomorrow in the city of brotherly shove.
They did it at the Super Bowl. It happened. I saw a brotherly shove for the first time. I was like, oh,
Yes, they
okay.
just pushed their way to victory
Yeah.
just when we did our workout. Oh, did I ever send you that? We did workouts during the game because we were so like expecting it to be such a boring game, which it kind of
Wow.
was.
I don't know. I thought it was kind of exciting, but I don't know.
When you're running for offense, and offense doesn't happen for one team, yes, it is kind of boring.
I guess so.
But yeah, congratulations, Eagles. I mean, on the bright side, no three-peat in the league. On the
Yeah,
bad side, we have to wait 2 more years for that to happen, and it would be the Eagles who would be the three-peaters.
it could be. I mean, it remains to be seen if they can remain such a strong team going into the next season. That's the thing about football, right? Is that the reason why a three-peat hasn't happened is because of how much turnover there is in the game, whether it be injuries, whether it be trades, whatever you have. It's like it
Whether it
seems
is
like
Mahomes throwing more picks,
yeah,
turnovers just everywhere.
dynasties are hard to come by in the NFL. They're not. It's not like the MLB or the NBA where you can lock down that talent for 10 years.
Right, because it's even harder to lock down a special QB,
Yes.
especially one who likes to go into the dark and retreat away from the world. And especially when you have a new head coach coming in who doesn't like your current quarterback. That's right.
Yes.
Aaron Rodgers is officially
Ugh.
leaving the Jets. He's out of New
Good
York and
riddance.
probably going to Minnesota
Ugh.
just to follow the steps of Favre, because of course he is. Yeah, no word on where Aaron Rodgers is going to go, but the two-time NFL MVP is currently teamless going into next year. So maybe he'll just go over to the Giants and not leave New York because they need a quarterback, clearly. But with Aaron Rodgers going somewhere, we also have new head coaches. So, as is the coaching carousel in the NFL, we have new coaches coming into next year, which means they get to
Yeah.
finally make their picks in the upcoming draft. Kellen Moore from the Eagles is going to be the next Saints head coach. Brian
Okay.
Schottenheim of the Schottenheimer clan is going to be the next Cowboys head coach. The recently retired and now unretired Pete Carroll of the Seahawks is going to be the Raiders head coach.
Sure.
Liam Cohen, not that Cohen, is going to be the Jaguars head coach. I don't know why I have this backwards, but the Jets is going to be the head coach of Aaron Glenn because he's not going to coach that team. Uh, Ben Johnson is going to be the head coach of the Bears. And as was always foretold by the great Belichick himself when he wrote
Yes.
it into the ground of the catacombs of Gillette Stadium, Mike Vrabel comes home to become the Patriots head coach,
Yep.
as was foretold.
Yes.
All right. Now that we got next year taken care of, we
Hmm.
forgot the best thing about the Super Bowl. Well,
Yeah, I
we
mean,
kind of saved it
we
to
could do
last,
that
but
now, or we could wait until thoughts. It's up to you.
uh, let's do it now while we're talking about it.
Okay, I just figured since you had already moved on from the Super Bowl that we would just table it until later. But yeah,
Okay,
we
let's
didn't talk
table it
about
to
the
later.
halftime show or the commercials.
Yeah. Kendrick Lamar performed. I guess that's the only new
Yeah,
music I did listen to this weekend then.
yeah. I mean, yeah. What is there to say about this performance that hasn't already been said a billion times on the internet? This thing lit the world on fire. This was a cultural moment, I think, for a lot of people. Kendrick Lamar showed up. He didn't do a lot of hits, but he did do some things that I think really just made an impact on people. It was an entertaining show. There was something constantly happening. There's a lot of visual, like cool stuff. There were surprises, including Serena Williams showing up, and the highlight, of course, with Kendrick looking straight into the camera when he said Drake's name, when he did "Not Like Us," because of course he did. Just a stellar, electrifying vibe from this thing, and it just kept people talking for a week and change. Like, still out there talking about it.
Definitely a step up from last year, which was Rihanna.
I like the Rihanna one, but yeah, this was definitely better.
Wait, no, sorry. Rihanna was 2 years ago.
Oh,
Usher was last year.
sure, right,
Definitely a step up from Usher.
with the roller skates and the
Yes.
shirtlessness. Yes.
But yeah, well done by Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of time people who watch the Super Bowl probably listen to his music. I think him winning the Grammys and being promoted as Grammy winning artist was definitely helpful. Sam
Yeah.
Jackson introducing everything. Did not expect that, but hey, it's your Uncle Sam.
It was
Next.
really neat. It was a cool way to kind of frame it because the question, of course, was going into this is like, okay, so you're putting Kendrick Lamar at the halftime show of like the biggest like American spectacle, typically a very conservative vibe, especially if you consider the ads, which we'll talk about later. Um, and the fact that the president was there presumably watching this, unless he bailed beforehand. I know that he bailed at some point. I don't know if it was before or after the halftime show. Um, so yeah, a lot to consider here. Getting somebody so iconoclastic and opinionated as Kendrick Lamar. And it was interesting how he used kind of that framing device because it was definitely a political statement, but it wasn't an overt one. It definitely seemed like it was there was subtle winks and nods with the Sam Jackson stuff that kind of hinted at, yes, he knows what he's doing. Yes, this is a commentary on a black performer being on such a huge American stage. And I think it did a really good job of doing that with its subtlety. I don't think if he was to do something any louder or more specific than that, whether it would have sunk in a little bit more. Like he obviously didn't do any of the more pointed political things in his catalog like he could have. He could have done several different songs that he's written about the actual like about black experience, about that kind of politically charged material, and he chose not to. Um, so it was interesting to see how he kind of framed it. It was subtle, but it worked. I thought it worked for me.
Yeah, I had a fun time watching. I was always curious as to like what was happening next, where they were going across the field. I like when an artist uses the entire feet of the
Yes.
field, running
Yes.
back and forth with all those performers. So yeah, I think it was a job well done. I
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
absolutely. One of the best I think that they've done in a long, long time. So certainly.
Yep. And then there's a reason everyone else who doesn't watch the game watches the game for the ads.
Yeah, less so this year, I will say. There were very few highlights for me personally. I thought it was very funny that Angelsoft bought 30 seconds for people to go to the bathroom. That was very nice of them. And and I was most baffled, but it did get a laugh out of me with the Mountain Dew seal as a seal thing.
I I was surprised that they were like, oh, so they're actually gonna do this?
Yeah. Yep.
And then I was like, oh yeah, why not? They already did Puppy Monkey Baby, so
Uh,
seal's a seal. Why not? Just
seal
lean
as
right
a
into
seal.
it. Lead to the absurdity.
Any highlights from you?
The Nike ad, the Nike women's sports ad,
I did like that.
highlight the uh flag football ad right after the Super Bowl or right after the halftime show. I thought that was really good. Usually they do a NFL like plays right after the Super
Right.
Bowl ad or after the halftime ad.
Right after
So that was
halftime.
always fun to see. Uh Other highlight I'd have to say would be I don't know, it's like kind of meh. This
Yeah.
wasn't like a lot of celebrity cameos.
Too many. Way
Many I
too
think.
many. I think having them back to back to back to back to back like that really made you more aware of it, I think, this year as opposed to prior years.
Hmm.
It just felt like every brand's idea was, well, if we just pack 4 or 5 celebrities in this thing, people will remember our ad. And you know what? It backfired because I can't tell you who was in which one.
The only I can tell you who was in which one was the Dunkin' ad because the first one that played at the first commercial that played, and then there
Yeah.
was a sequel of the same ad they've been running, or the same like continually like storyline they've been running for the past 3 Super Bowls or 4 Super Bowls now with Ben Affleck, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll never see this commercial ever again.
Yeah. The problem with that is that it's getting so long ago now. I don't remember what the setup was. Like,
The setup was that he was just doing it in Dunkin' Donuts like as a voice on the like the drive-through, but like no one recognized that it was his voice or like who he
right.
was at the drive-through. That was the original setup. It was like, oh, you're just the Dunkin' employee, not realizing that it's Ben Affleck.
It's incredibly forgettable. And so
Yep,
didn't do
that's why we're
much
talking
for
about
me.
it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty forgettable ads elsewhere.
Yeah.
Not a whole
That
lot of
year.
movie trailers that I would have expected.
No, not that many there. And yes, last year we had all the NFT ads. This year we had all the or sorry, not NFT, cryptocurrency ads. This year we had
Mhm.
all the AI ads, which is not an upgrade.
Right. Not a whole lot of QR codes being thrown on screen.
Thankfully, yeah, that's a move towards a positive move, I think.
Yep. Speaking of positive moves, we're going to move to a
Yes.
positive direction because when
Yes.
the NFL ends, the next sport begins.
Indeed.
It's baseball season.
Just about, almost.
Pitchers and catchers will be reporting to spring training between today and tomorrow, as of this recording,
Yes.
with everyone reporting to spring training by next week, Monday.
Yes,
Uh,
it's happening.
so it's happening. Get
And we
get your
still don't know
sunscreen on.
how
Go to
we're
the Grift League.
watching.
Go to the Cactus League.
Yeah. And we
Get your
still don't know
stretches
how
on.
we're, yeah. And we still don't know how we're watching these on television.
Nope.
The
We're still
Diamond
those
Sports stuff
2025 contracts.
has been a total disaster. We are a week away when these things are supposed to start being televised, and we still don't know.
Well, because spring training, they're just gonna be like, "Oh, put it on Amazon. We don't care."
Some of us do still care about
I know
spring
some of
training
us care.
games.
Just like I'm sure some people still care about the NBA All Star, which is occurring this weekend, as I found out while I was looking up, like, oh, when is it? And yeah, so we have the Rising Stars game and the Celebrity game tomorrow on Valentine's Day. It's Friday. Then we'll have the skills and the dunk competition on Saturday with the All Star tournament on Sunday. That's right, the NBA is doing its own format change, where instead of two teams of East and West playing against each other, or two captains, we're having a 4-team, 8-player mini tournament
Sure.
featuring the hosts of TNT inside the NBA with Charles Barkley and his global stars, Shaq with his OGs, Kenny Smith with his young stars, and Candace Parker with those rising stars.
All right. Who has the advantage?
Shaq because they're all big name OGs, but
Yeah.
if I had to put my money somewhere, I'd go with probably the young stars or the rising stars because this could be like their big shot. They're in the All-Star game. They're gonna go
Yeah.
all out instead of these what's been the class of the NBA All-Star game, which is yeah, we're just gonna go around, we're just gonna shoot around. It's like this game doesn't really matter. So here, you shoot a three, you bake a dunk, you do a windmill. Let's put up 180 points against each other. No one plays defense.
Yep.
And then similarly, NHL is going to do its own tournament with the Four Nations Face Off. That
Yep.
starts
Started
yesterday.
last
It's already
night.
started. It's
Yes.
already going.
Yes.
Yep. So that is currently happening. All Stars weekends.
Yes.
It's happening.
Basketball and hockey abound, so there will be some sports to watch this weekend if you're a sports fan. So yeah, get to it.
All right.
All right. Anything else in
Yeah.
sports?
Uh yes. NASCAR
Yes, you mentioned this
starts
last
on
week.
Sunday.
Yes.
Start your engines. Daytona 500 is coming on Sunday.
Yeah, Daytona 500, SNL 50. What a day of television.
Yes. What a great day for NBC or Fox or whatever.
Truly.